Hey, what's up guys? Ren here. Okay, today I'm gonna tell you why you should not bother saving your asteroids for 1.2 and just spend them in 1.1 for Jinxie and Changli. Or if not, then even their weapons. Trust me on that. Let's get started. So with the release of 1.1, we were blessed with two hot women. We have Jinxie, a burst damage dealer, and then we have Changli, a DPS, fusion buffer, sub DPS, somewhere along those lines. But aside from that, for 1.2, we're gonna get two new 5-star characters. Shangli Yao, who's an Electro Gauntlet DPS character, and then we're getting Zhezhe. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She's supposed to be a Glacio sub DPS alongside, as always, both of their signature weapons. Now, let me just get this one big news out of the way. According to the rumors, we might be getting Shangli Yao completely for free at the start of 1.2. At least that's what the rumors say. Now, the rumors seem very reliable from what I can tell, but please take this with a massive grain of salt, because even though we know Kuro is super generous, I personally would still be careful. I've been scarred by Genshin before for huffing too much copium. Now the second big news is that we're getting a daily login back from 1.1. So that's another free 5 Radiant Tides and 5 Lustrous Strides. These are massive W's for the Wuthering Waves community. Now adding all these pulls, our current estimated pulls for 1.2 come out to be 8,820 asteroids. Adding the 5 Radiant Tides from the daily login and 7 from the shop, our total free-to-play pull count comes out to be 67 limited banner pulls, or Radiant Tides. This does not include another 17 Lustrous Tides we're gonna get, as well as the usual 7 Foraging Tides from the shop reset. This takes me directly to my main point for the video. Do not save your pulls for 1.2. Let me explain why. In recent news, we saw that Changli has been buffed by Kuro just prior to release. We can confirm it by playing her trial in the story quest, where now her skill costs less energy and her weapon provides a buff for her entire rotation. This makes her not require as much ER, making it so we can focus on damage stats such as crit and attack, making Changli a very solid character, competitive with Jinxie, and that is why, if you haven't pulled on either Jinxie or Changli, I would recommend you just pull right now. Jinxie in particular is a very strong unit. That is not news to anyone. She can even be ran fairly well with Yanwu, which frees up your Yinlin, who is her best in slot sub DPS as of right now, but we'll talk about it. And Changli, just like I mentioned, she got buffed and now she seems really strong as well. Another important thing I want you to consider is that if you got Jinxie and you don't have her weapon, or Jian's weapon, I would recommend you pull for her weapon instead. The difference between her signature weapon and anything else is just so massive that it's worth the investment, since we're not saving for 1.2. Now if you're still deciding between Jinxie or Changli, I can help you decide. Just answer a few questions for me. Do you have Jian? If your answer is no, go for Jinxie. That's a very easy answer. If your answer is yes, ask yourself another question. Do you have Encore? If you do not have Encore, in that case, honestly you can't go wrong with either of the characters. Getting Jinxie will give you a very solid secondary DPS, and if you go with Changli, you can still pair her up with Jixia, or a different DPS of your choice. If you do have Encore though, then I would personally go for Changli because they pair up really well, or you can run Changli as a DPS herself too, and she would excel at it. Now, even after I mention all of this, if you decide to save for 1.2, this is what you can expect. Let's start with Zhezhe. She's supposed to be the character in the second half of 1.2, and she's going to be a Glacio sub DPS. Not unlike Yinlin, but buffing resonance skill and Glacio damage instead. Now the issue I have with Zhezhe is that there isn't an obvious pairing for her yet. Kinda. Let me explain. Lingyang is an obvious contender for her team, but he isn't considered as a very good DPS to be honest. But if you main him, there's your reason to pull Zhezhe. The other character is of course Jinxie. Zhezhe buffing resonance skill and doing coordinated attacks on ultimate makes her perfect pairing for Jinxie. Now you must be thinking, yo Brent, if she's so good with Jinxie, why not save up to guarantee her? My response is that, think about it dude. Do you really need another sub DPS for Jinxie? We have Yinlin already, but let's say you use her in another team, or if you didn't have her. You can still use Yanwu. He's easy to play and is only slightly worse than Yinlin as a Jinxie teammate. He's currently not used in any meta teams either, and we got him for free. Plus, he can clear Tower of Adversity completely fine if you're using Yanwu as Jinxie's sub DPS, which makes Zhezhe a bit hard for me to recommend. Now, if they release a future Glacio skill damage focused DPS, which is a lot to ask, then yeah, she would be worth it, but we don't know if that'll happen, if ever. She seems to fit a role that is already kinda filled. It's like Kuro releases a 5-star Mortefi. Yeah, it might make Jian better, but he can already clear Tower of Adversity fine with Mortefi, so why the need? Another argument I want to present to you is that in Wuthering Waves, weapons so far have been very valuable. The fact that one weapon can be used by multiple characters in Tower of Adversity makes it so that you can basically get one 5-star crit based weapon for every weapon archetype. And so far we don't have any 5-star crit based gauntlets, so if Zhang Liao is given for free, his weapon seems very valuable, especially if you already have Yinlin. It could potentially be a crazy strong team even. On the other hand, if you missed Yinlin's weapon, Zhe's Rectifier provides the same crit value and the highest amount of crit damage in the game by far, making it really valuable as well. Now let's say you don't pull on weapons and you only want characters. I still recommend pulling in 1.1 because Jinxie is valuable with or without Zhe, but you cannot say the same for Zhe. Let's say you really do like Zhe though, or her playstyle, which is a fair argument, you can still get her. We will be getting 67 pulls, so if you decide not to go for the weapons and you have 0 asteroids saved because you pulled for characters in 1.1, you can still hit soft pity once for characters in 1.2, giving you a solid chance to get Zhe anyways. So this is what I think. Go for the current character, and if you can get them, amazing, congrats. I think you made a good decision. But either way, I don't think you would be losing too much with any of these characters, so just go for what your heart desires because, of course, waifu over meta. And that is it for me. Hope you liked the video and it helped you make your mind. If it did, leave a like down below. See you next time.
海に帰れ